When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
All right, everybody, continuing things here on the Elias Macko Show. Oh, I pushed a lot of buttons with my defense of bike paths. Nobody has any proof that they're bad for cities, but they just hate them without any proof. I did get this. Oh, think about older people. Do you want to kill us, right? So, Diane, listen, let me tell you something. Bike paths and older people. If you looked at the cities in Europe that have created cycling networks, and we saw story after story of old people dropping like flies due to bike paths, maybe you'd be onto something. I'm willing to look at the proof and evidence that bike paths are somehow bad for seniors, but it doesn't exist. So I'm just pointing that out. Thanks for all your notes on bike paths. I await your evidence that they're bad for cities. I await it. I await that evidence. Now let's keep talking about the city with an all-around good guy and the general manager of Montreal Centre-ville. Glenn Castanheira joins us on the line. Hi, Glenn.
Hi, Elias.
We have a lot to discuss here, and feel free to just opine on bike paths at any moment. But we have the 70th annual Christmas parade show on St. Catherine Street, which is coming back, and I know that's big for the Centre-ville, for our downtown. And of course, we've got a study out this week from Montreal Centre-ville looking at graffiti and trash and the cones and all of that. So a lot to talk about here. Why don't we start off with the Christmas show, the 70th Christmas parade, the Santa Claus parade, and tell us about why you're happy and excited for it.
Thanks, Elias. Yeah, a lot happening. We're working tirelessly. So we're not in the North Pole making gifts for all the kids, but we are working tirelessly 7 days a week to keep downtown attractive and alive. And we're really happy this year, after 2 long years of absence, to have the mythical Santa Claus parade come back downtown. And not just be back, but be back on St. Catherine Street. For those of you that had the chance to see the Santa Claus parade the past years, it was held on René Lévesque due to the construction on St. Catherine.
Uh-huh.
Since we finally got a break, we not only get to go back on St. Catherine, but a new St. Catherine Street with much wider sidewalks, 3 times wider. Finally, almost wide enough for all the people walking on it, and hopefully for all the kids that will be attending the event. We're expecting roughly 400,000 people, many of them are the little ones, of course. And, of course, hundreds of thousands at home watching on TV through TVA that will be showing the event the next day.
So a lot of reasons to be excited. 400,000 people going to downtown. And I guess this is the perfect way to segue to the real point of this interview and about the downtown that those 400,000 people will encounter when it comes to cleanliness. Mm-hmm. And Montréal Centre-ville, behind a report that looks at some of the chronic issues: graffiti, trash, open construction sites. Glenn, we have to do a better job on that front. What did your study reveal?
Yeah, well, first of all, that we have to do a better job on many, many aspects. I mean, and looking at it in a very pragmatic way. It's very simple to say, everything's going down the drain and we can't do anything right. We're doing a lot of things very well, so much so that we get a lot of people from around the world coming to see how we do it and they want to learn from us. But there's a lot of things we can do better. And that's what we did with this study that looks at dozens of downtowns around the world, looking at how they tackle problems and how we can adapt it here. And if you look at cleanliness, Alliance, clean and safe is the backbone of any strong downtown. There's no point in having a Santa Claus parade, a giant ring, large festivals, or public art if it's not clean and safe. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that's something that Montreal does better than many North American cities, yes, but really not up to par. What we do at Montréal Centre-ville, we have our own cleaning crew. So on top of the city crew, the businesses of downtown put money together to have over 25 men and women cleaning the streets. You'll see them; they're dressed in blue. That's our team. We're very proud of. But there's so much more to do. And what the study says is the first thing we should do is hold people accountable. Elias, when you see trash overflowing in a trash can, that's not nature taking back its rights. Somebody put that trash there.
Yeah.
So collectively, not just us consumers, but also the property owners, the business owners. Many of them are very respectful and responsible, but it only takes one to generate what we call the broken window effect. So one of the things the study says is, when you look at most American cities like Chicago and New York, business owners and property owners are responsible for the cleanliness in front of their business. They have to keep it exempt of graffiti, of dirt, of trash, and of snow. So that's the first step we'd like to look at. Another one is why on earth are we still putting trash bags on sidewalks? As a developed society, and if you've traveled anywhere in the world, not many societies still put their trash bags on sidewalks. It's not only disgusting, especially when it's hot outside, but it's basically feeding rats and attracting more vermin.
And we do it during the day, Glenn, right? This is something that other cities do better. So this seems like an easy fix. What's the holdup?
And that's the kind of discussions we're having with the city right now. Too soon for me to, because it's easy for me to see it, kind of indications of why it's not done, but it seems to be an issue with one of them being collective conventions with unions. That's part of it. The other part of it is the capacity for some of these private companies that collect to do it at night, especially now with labor shortage. Another one is the issue of some businesses to have enough staff to stay late enough to come out and take out the trash. Some of them close at 5, and so we don't want the trash to be there all night from 5 p.m. till maybe midnight or 1 a.m. So that's where we're going to dig deeper. But another issue seems to be the infrastructure. In most cities, you'll see these, what we call them, half-buried bells. It's a trash can that you'll see the top, but it's kind of like an iceberg, right? There's maybe a huge container underneath the sidewalk that you don't see. And the trucks just come at night and pick it up and empties what would normally be a week-long trash that you would normally see. So all these things put together are kind of key solutions to keeping the city clean.
So, Glenn, listen, I know you focused a bit here on business owners and private business owners having to do their part here, but I want to throw something at you. In the third hour of the program, we're going to be speaking to Transport Quebec to talk about the Turcotte and how it's covered in graffiti, and that's what people see when they enter the city. And when we talked about this earlier in the week, I had listener after listener call me, and they say, you know what, I'm a business owner, graffiti on my building, I have to clean it, I get fined, right? So don't government, maybe it's the municipal government, provincial governments, don't they need to also walk the walk here? I mean, and you say private business owners, maybe they're doing a better job, because when I look at overpasses, underpasses, city infrastructure, city walls, and they're covered in graffiti, and then you're saying, well, business owners, we're going to fine you. Don't governments need to do a better job at setting the example when it comes to cleanliness, maybe on a thing like graffiti?
Absolutely, and that's the first step. Elias, let me just clarify my point here. We say that landlords and businesses need to give the example, but the vast majority of them already do. No one tends for their storefront better than a small business owner. They're there every day, grooming, cleaning, and even the larger businesses. If you go see around the Eaton Center, you'll never see graffiti on that building. Why? Because every single morning their crews are out cleaning around the building, showing the example. So the example of the Turcotte interchange is, to me, a flagrant example of complete disregard and public officials and the public system not taking its responsibility. I was speaking earlier this week with your colleague Aaron Rand, and I couldn't believe the quote I read from the NTQ, where, and I quote on my own words, something in the order of, we clean it twice a year, and somehow it keeps coming back. Elias, if all of us cleaned twice a year, could you imagine how ridiculously disgusting this city would be? I'm fuming just the idea of how these people just don't care. The only way you can keep a city clean is the same way you can keep your home clean. It's by cleaning it every single day. If you had to leave your trash out or your dishes out and only clean them twice a year, could you imagine what kind of an environment you'd be in? So that's very, very frustrating. And, of course, it would be unimaginable that public officials require any legal obligation from businesses and property owners until the public sets the example. And that's very important to put together. Right now, a small business will never get a fine for having a graffiti on their building. There's no rules that forces them to keep them clean.
Glenn, I want to tell you, while you were going off on the Turcotte, I shut off my microphone. I let it just roll. I let you go with it because I'm going to snip that up, and Jay's going to snip that up in Master Control. And we are going to play that for the Ministère des Transports, for the Transport Québec, coming up at 11:30. And we'll see what their response is to it. I have to leave it there, Glenn.
Out of my mind. Yeah. Okay, thanks a lot.
Glenn Castanheira is from Montreal, Centre-ville, and yes, he's got an opinion on that very, very graffiti-covered Turcotte exchange.